It's recording.
It's recording now?
Yeah.
Wait, can you decipher what she's saying? Can you decipher what Jay's saying?
No.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فقال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Adeel Zeb. I just wanted to introduce myself. Some of you I've met, some of you I haven't met. I was born in New Jersey. I grew up in Texas. Recently moved to the Connecticut area. I went to Hartford Seminary also, not too far from here, alhamdulillah. I have two little sisters, one little brother. Mom and dad live in Dallas, Texas, and I have family in different parts of the States. The topic today may seem a little bit controversial, and that may be intentional, may or may not be. But having a topic related to romance or love was intentional. Because I felt, not that only it would bring people out to the lecture, but also it's something that is usually not talked about that much in an Islamic setting, but is talked about in an un-Islamic setting, right? And I believe it's better to talk about things when they're from your own words, from your own people, than hearing it from other people. I have to first of all thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing us here tonight, and instead of other places that we could be. I like to thank the Berlin Masjid, the Connecticut community, Hartford Seminary, the Muslim Coalition of Connecticut, MSA Connecticut. Special shout out to my dear students from Trinity College and Wesleyan University as well. You all are part of the reason I get up every day in the morning, so I'm very happy that you all are here. The Prophet ﷺ said that knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. And this is the hadith of Ibn Majah. And the contemporary ulama, so I'm going to, inshallah, try anytime I use another language to translate to English. So if I don't do that, please forgive me, I'll try to be cognizant of that. The ulama, the scholars, people of knowledge, they say that, is this too loud? Is this too close? Okay. It's okay? Okay. Well, I think sisters. Is it louder?
We want it louder.
You want it louder? Make it louder? Okay. All right. And okay. So the contemporary ulama, they say that it's not only obligatory, it's not only Islamic knowledge, but it's knowledge that will benefit the community as well. Okay. So that's the knowledge that is obligatory. I will be citing four main sources today. Okay. The first will be Quran. The second will be the Sunnah, which is the saying, action, or tacit approval of the Prophet ﷺ. Tacit approval meaning that if someone does something in front of the Prophet ﷺ and he allows that to happen, that becomes tacit approval, and then hence becomes Sunnah. Okay? There will also be some research that I will be citing, and there will be experiences that I have either personally seen or I have seen others have done and I have witnessed in my own life. I will be using a word, it's a phrase called real talk, R-E-A-L-T-A-L-K, and this word is used to, it's basically for my own comfort. There may be some things I'm uncomfortable saying, but it's an honest saying, so I use it to be real about what I'm about to say, honest talk. Okay? The lecture will be broken down into 3 different parts. The first part will be understanding the romantics. Understanding the romantics, meaning understanding men and understanding women. Because you can say we are equal, but I'm not going to believe you to tell you that we're the same, because we're not. Then romance before the marriage, which may sound controversial, but I'll explain. And then romance after the marriage. There's also the hadith in the Sunan of Abi Dawud, and it's a Hasan hadith by Shaykh Al-Bani, that Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, and Aisha is a name that I'll be saying a lot today, inshallah. She was the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. May God's peace and blessings be upon him. And she narrated many hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, many of the sayings. And she was his wife and she was with him. So the best of the women are the women of the Ansar. Shyness would not prevent them from inquiring about religion and from inquiring deep understanding in it. So I'm going to open with a quick joke, so we kind of get a little bit relaxed, inshallah. There was 3 imams, okay, and the 3 imams are kind of just hanging out. A beautiful woman walks by. The first imam looks at the woman and says, Astaghfirullah, and he asks God for forgiveness and lowers his gaze. The second imam sees the same woman and says, MashaAllah, look at the beauty that God has bestowed on this woman. The third imam is missing, and they're looking around saying, where's the third imam? And he's walking toward the woman saying, Inshallah. So with that, inshallah, we'll start with a poll. So how many men think romance is a priority in your life? Okay, so I think I see less than 10 hands. Okay. And it's okay, 2 hands doesn't count for the same person. And don't worry, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see any sisters up there anyway when they wave their hands. How many women think romance is a priority in your life? Okay, it's more up there. But how much time, how many days, how many hours, how many minutes do we plan for romance? For those of us who have someone to be romantic with, obviously. And even if you don't have one to be romantic with, what about the future? What about the future when you do find someone? What are you going to do with them? Because marriage is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A ni'mah. What are you going to do with them? Are you going to wait until you're married to plan romance? When you're already busy with all the things that you have to do when you're married, which is a lot? We plan for everything else. We plan for our financial future, our careers, our work, our workout. But when it comes to romance, and I'm assuming that you're being romantic with the most important person in your life, or one of the most important people in your life, how much do we plan? Understanding the romantics. So the first part, number 1, most important is communication. You have to be able to communicate effectively to your romantic partner, okay? And some of the mistakes that men do is men are like, we like to solve problems. We're problem solvers. You know, there's a problem. It's like a Superman complex. You know, somebody has a problem, I'll save the day. You know, and they go and they do this. But women, this is general stuff. It's not everybody, but this is a pretty good generalization of how things are. Okay, so women want validation of their feelings. They don't always want you to solve problems. They want someone to listen to what they're going through, right? And we'll talk about the differences between that. And a lot of times, women will offer men unsolicited advice and direction. You know, we didn't ask for your advice or your direction, but they're always like correcting us. you know, and you're just like, right? And it's all in good help. It's all in good, good intention. But the way it's communicated affects us differently. Men tend to pull away from things, you know, and we'll talk about this further, inshallah, but men pull away from things when things are bothering them. Women feel an almost instant need to talk about their problems. As soon as something bad happens, a woman will generally find some type of being to tell their problems to. You know, if there's a man, a woman, it's their cat, it's something will receive that complaint, you know. And men generally are not that way, you know. And we'll talk about what the men, inshallah ta'ala, do. So men are motivated when they feel that women are, when they're needed. Okay. When a man feels that he's needed, he can do many, many different things. I mean, the same man, if you give him responsibility, he will be a different person the year before he had the responsibility. I've seen it happen with just my own eyes. Okay. And women feel motivated when they feel cherished. Somebody cherishes them. Okay. Men sometimes need to overcome the resistance to giving love, while women must overcome the resistance to receiving it. Women will learn. Women should learn. Women, when a man stops talking, right? When a man stops talking, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Okay? Because men, we process things differently. And I'm going to say we with men because I'm one of them. And so I'll try to be as equal as possible, but sometimes I fall into this. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is a very wonderful story that actually one of my good friends had told me about. I won't say his name, even though he's in the room, might get shy. But he was keenly aware of when his wife was mad. Okay? He was aware when Aisha was mad. And she asked him, how do you know? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when you swear by the God of Ibrahim, you're mad at me. When you swear by the God of Muhammad, you're not mad at me, right? And so that shows Prophet ﷺ was a good listener. He was listening to the problems of his wife. He was paying attention to the details of what's going on, either with the words or with the body language of what his wife was going through. There's a wonderful, beautiful, and I think it's a very romantic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ and Aisha. And it's when the Prophet ﷺ, he tells Aisha that there's Abyssinian dancers. It's a very famous hadith, I'm sure some of you must know it, but there's Abyssinian dancers, men who are dancing, right? And Aisha, come take a look at this. And so he had to place her in a way where it was kind of like weighing on him. And he would ask her, are you done yet? And she'd be like, no, I'm not done yet. So he would like move his feet, because you know when you want to sit down, you move your feet because your feet hurt, right? And then her face was touching the face of the Prophet ﷺ, okay? And then later on, she further narrates in the hadith that I didn't really care about the dancers. I just wanted my face to touch the face of the Prophet ﷺ. SubhanAllah. I mean, wow. And we look at that and we see like sometimes you can do things for your wife or your husband and you don't even know what it means to them. They might even tell you, but just helping them in some way can lead to this. There are some ways that we can improve intimacy in our lives. Ian Kerner, he is a intimacy counselor in a New York Times bestseller. And in one of his books, in one of his works, he talks about giving a simple hug can help intimacy in many different ways. It takes 20 seconds or less, but it can help a lot. Whenever you're with your significant other, you must turn off all of this stuff, okay? The iPhones, the iPads, the Blackberries, unless your work is demanding it, computers, all these distractions need to be put away. Because your spouse has to be the most important part of your life, person in your life, okay? Needs to be the most important person of your life. We're not including mom and dad in this, okay? I know it's going to be too controversial. It's just in your life, because we tend to prioritize our work. It doesn't matter if you're going to meet President Obama. It doesn't matter if you're going to meet some, people, groups and stuff. Your spouse has to be the most important. You can't be like, oh, I'm going to go to work at 5 in the morning, come back at 10 at night, and I come home, I'm tired, I just want to eat and go to sleep and watch the news. It's unacceptable. You have to make quality time for your spouse. Decrease your stress. Stress can be horrible for intimacy. Make sure you find ways, physical health, making sure we're working out, eating right. It's very important. It can affect these types of things. There was research in the Wall Street Journal that said that divorced people give the best marriage advice, right? And they interviewed all these people for over 20-something years and followed them. And some of the things that they said, 15% said that they would give their spouse more effective affirmation, including compliments, cuddling, hand-holding, saying I love you, emotional support, these types of things. Okay. There's another book, it's called How Full Is Your Bucket? And subhanAllah, when I went through this book, there's this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that was narrated by Abu Hurairah, and he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever believes in Allah in the last day should speak a good word or remain silent. Muttafaq alayh, in Bukhari and Muslim. Okay. And the how full is your bucket concept is basically this. If you say something positive to somebody, then you're filling their bucket up. Okay? If you say something negative to somebody, you're emptying their bucket. And subhanAllah, it's beautiful. And it erases hadith very well. And so when you are with your spouse, inshallah, your romantic interest, however you want to call it, you need to be very positive in your communications. Using we. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? No. Let's work on this. Why don't we do this? The difference in the language can make a world of difference. And if you do have problems in the marriage, which is natural to have, then it's good to get help. Okay? There are people, Muslims, who are studying, they're becoming certified in family therapy, at least go to an imam. They try to get these things solved before you get into the higher escalations of getting families and things like that involved. The Prophet ﷺ himself, would be intimate with his wives before he went, and just simple intimacy before he even would go to prayer, And it shows it was part and parcel of his life. Now, back to the men and women. So, women are like waves. When they feel love, okay, they go up. When they feel like they're not being loved, they crash. Okay? And then loved, and then crash, and then loved, and then crash. So it's very important to understand how the different setups are made. Okay? Men need a kind of love that is trusting, accepting, and appreciative. And women primarily need a kind of love that is caring, understanding, and respectful. Now, there's a point system that men use. What do I mean by point system? Let me ask the guys here. If I buy a woman this bag of chocolates, how many points is this? Mansoor? 5 points. If I buy a 24-karat diamond ring from Zales, how many points is that? 1,000. So do you see how they have a point system down here? Okay, so things are done by points. Okay. Usually everything is 1 point with the woman. Okay. Everything is 1 point. However, there are some exceptions to this rule, and one of those exceptions is the ring, like an engagement ring. Why do you think that is? Mazen?
You're making a promise. It's not a bag of chocolates that's going to end in a couple of days.
Yeah.
It's not a flower that's going to die in a month or so. It's a life that you're making a commitment to.
Yeah, and you know, when you do have this ring on, it shows to other people that you're off limits. You know, this woman is reserved, this man is reserved for this woman, and this woman is reserved for this man. Okay, so it's a big deal. It is a commitment. You're right. Now, the point system comes again. Let me ask y'all, and I say y'all, I'm from Texas, so I'm going to say y'all. Let me ask y'all, if a woman cleans your house, and I'm asking the men right now, I'll be up there inshallah soon. If a woman cleans your house and she makes you a dinner, but she kind of disrespects you all the time and talks bad about you and doesn't really think you're that cool, does the food and the cleaning matter that much? Yes and no. Okay, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Okay, all right, fair enough. But you see that it goes down to the core, right? What is the more important thing? The more important thing is that the man should feel appreciated for what he does for his family. Right? Now, sometimes when we have problems in our relationships, we want to find ways to express ourselves, but we don't want to fight. No one likes fighting. You know, no one likes to do that. I mean, if you ask like a heavyweight boxer whose face is all messed up, like, you having fun? You know, what's he going to tell you, you know? But so one way is to write love letters. Okay, you write a love letter expressing your emotions. I feel angry when this happened. I feel sad when this happened. I feel scared when this happens. Okay, it's a nice, indirect way to express your emotions without causing friction and controversy. Okay, now sisters, do you think there's a difference between the words could and can and will and would? There's a difference. Okay, mashallah, they already know the lecture. Okay, so there is a difference between could and can and would and will for a man. Why is that? Let me ask you a question. If I say, can you take the trash out? Is it the same as will you take the trash out? Yusuf? What do you think? If I asked you, can you take the trash out? And then, Michael, yes, I'll repeat what they say. Thank you. If I asked you, can you take the trash out, or will you take the trash out? Is there a difference? And what's the difference? What's the difference? I'm sorry?
One is a question of physical capability.
Right.
I am capable of taking out the trash.
Right. So he's basically saying that, yes, he's capable of he can take out the trash, but will is a request. And will sounds more like a Superman thing. Will you take care of the trash? Yeah, I can help you with that. I can do that. I will do that, right? And sisters, it's kind of like if someone proposes to you and says, can you marry me? It sounds like a joke, you know? Of course they can, but will they, you know? So just remember that. Could and can, will and would, okay? So now, what some of the research calls women is the home improvement committee, right? And it has nothing to do with domestic duties, but it's something like a woman tries to change a man's behavior when he makes mistakes by being the home improvements committee and offering unsolicited advice and criticism. And out of good nature. What the man feels is that a woman is his criticism, right? And when he's feeling he's not being criticized, he's a lot more open to receiving, to ask for himself for feedback and advice. The next theory is called the cave theory, all right? Now, Prophet ﷺ, if you remember, before the Wahy, he used to go to a cave, right? What was the cave called? Hira, right? Okay. And as one of my friends said, Batman also goes to a cave to retreat and do whatever he does. But why do men do this? Why do men go to caves? We go to caves, said one of them, we go to caves because it helps us think about our problems. We get to filter out what's going on up here, and then we come back out of the cave ready to go, right? But if you try to enter into if a woman tries to enter into a man's cave, he becomes a dragon ready to burn, okay? So when a man is like, it's nothing, it's okay, it's fine, just leave him alone. He relax. Go out and shop, spend his money. Go out with your friends. Get a massage from a woman, okay, and have a good time. Okay, he'll be back, inshallah. Don't worry about it. But if you try to ask him, what's wrong? Let me help you. Let's talk about it. No. He needs time to just recharge. He'll be okay, inshallah. Okay. Also, the men, again, going back to fixing problems. If a woman says, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. And then the man says, you don't like your job, you just quit. Right? You see, this is total different miscommunication. You just try to complain that she's tired, and you're trying to give her a solution that you don't like it, just go on and do something else in your life, right? But that's how it works. If a woman says, I feel like I've never heard, what she's really trying to say, I feel as though you don't fully understand what I really mean or say or care about how I feel. Would you show me that you're interested in what I have to say? A woman says, I want more romance. The man may say, are you saying I'm not romantic? So everything kind of has to be communicated in a proper fashion. Sisters, when talking to men, it's not, the 4 key words, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, right? Communicating to a man, because men, our ego is everything. I don't care generally, real talk, men have serious ego problems. Like, our ego is everything. Our resume, our GPA, our salary, our career, all this stuff is tied to our own egos. And if our ego's not filled, then we're not like that happy. And so understand that your men have ego and they want to feel appreciated. 6 key differences between men and women. Women want to receive caring, understanding, respect, devotion, validation, and reassurance. And men need to receive trust, acceptance, appreciation, admiration, approval, and encouragement. All right, men, this is very important, so I need everyone to pay attention, okay? When a woman tells you her problem, okay, you're supposed to say, I understand. Your concern is very valid. This is very important. I understand. Your concern is very valid. It makes a big difference. Never, questions inshallah at the end. Never, inshallah, in your life, say, what? What did you say? You'd be in so much trouble. Always. And even, the quick trick is, if you get 20% of what she said, and you repeat that and summarize it, then you're going to be okay, inshallah. Just act on that. But if you don't get any of it, you're going to be in deep trouble. Okay? You can't go back home? Yeah, subhanAllah. Maybe your brother has a hotel business or something. So, ways to show you love her. Compliment on how she looks, okay? Because women need to feel appreciated. One of the contemporary ulama, he said that, if you have a sister and if you have like a daughter or a sister in your home, they're getting dressed up only in the house, they don't get dressed up when they go out and stuff like that, you need to show appreciation to this woman in your household. You look very nice, mashallah, right? Encourage her about what she's doing. And with your wife, definitely, make sure you're complimenting her and types of things. Some of the things you can do is if you're traveling, schedule extra time so you don't have to rush. When you're going to be late, call her, text her, let her know so she doesn't worry. Because women will worry, but generally they assume like an accident happened, why are you calling? And whenever her feelings have been hurt, This is a very key point. Whenever her feelings have been hurt, give her some empathy and say, I'm sorry you feel hurt. Pause. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi. Okay. You have to give, I'm really sorry you feel hurt. Okay. Show you really care, right? And if you do end up going to the cave, tell her, I love you and I will be back. Okay? Doesn't think you're leaving the house. Okay? I love you and be back. These and these. This is a lightsaber to the Jedi. Okay? This is your life. When you mess up, you find a place that has this and has this. These you have to buy fresh, these you can stock up. Okay? Alright. If you know your wife goes to work, she's studying or she's doing things, make coffee for her. Make breakfast for her. And do something for your wife as well that we expect. This is also from the Wall Street Journal. Now, women, when we're talking to men, there's 4 key points for women. Appropriate timing. Timing is of the essence, right? If a man is coming home from a 12-day workday and he hasn't eaten anything but a granola bar and a Powerade, and he's dead tired, do not tell him you want a bigger house. Well, that's your mom's coming over. Everything is about timing. When he's in a good mood, and you should know when your husband's in a good mood, then you ask for things that you could get him shown, right? It's all about timing. Non-demanding attitude. Don't ask it in a demanding way. Be brief and be direct. Men like real talk. What is it you want to say? Just tell me what you're trying to say. It's very important. 90-10 principle. 90-10. So when we're upset, 90% of the problem is because of something not related to the husband or the wife. There is something else is going on. Okay. Other things are going on, work, health, other family members, school, something else is going on. So when they explode on you because of their stress or frustration, it's not because of you. And we have to it's hard, we try to remember that something's going on. And they will eventually, inshallah, tell you what's going on, but just remember that it's going to happen. Now, there's a difference between a man and a bum, okay? A man who believes in honor and chivalry will want to be that Superman for his spouse, will want to be that knight in shining armor for his spouse, okay? And they want to work hard. They want to open the door for them. They would want to help them as much as possible, offer protection, and all these types of things. And I've met few women in my life who don't like a man who does that. Very few women. Now, romance before the marriage. Before you get mad at me, let me explain what I'm trying to say. There was a woman who came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, I dedicate myself to you for marriage. She stayed for a long period of time, and the man said, O Messenger of Allah, if you do not want her, marry her to me. Okay? The Messenger of Allah said, what do you have to give as a dowry, as a man? And he said, I have nothing but his heart, like my waist sheet. The man replied, the Prophet said, if you give her your izar, you will have nothing. You're going to wear. The Prophet said, try to find something, even if it's a ring of iron. Go search, find something, right? But the man came back with nothing. So the Prophet said, did you memorize something of the Quran? And the man said, yes. And Prophet said, I give you to each other in marriage for what you memorize of the Quran. Muttafaq alayh, Bukhari and Muslim. So we learn from the hadith and from just life experience, women invite. Women invite, generally, okay? And man is supposed to act on the invitation or to propose to a woman. Now, it's not always the case. It was not the case with the Prophet ﷺ and Khadija, where she, in fact, had someone investigate, see how his character was like, his business practices, was he ethical, how was he? And she replied, yeah, he's very fruitful in business, he's a great person, great character. And then she wanted to marry the Prophet ﷺ. And when the Prophet ﷺ found out, he said, why would Khadija want to marry me? He was shocked by this, right? And, you know, I still haven't found one hadith that criticizes Khadija. I mean, every hadith that I've read, that I know of, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's been praise of her. And that's something to be said. Something to be said. Now, ruling on marriage, because, you know, we're people of rulings. Everything's about rulings. Is TV halal? You know, is music halal? Is the cheeseburger halal? Is it haram? What's going on? We're just people of rulings. Everything has a ruling. What's going on this? You know? So, I think, in my personal opinion, the opinion of, in the latter Maliki madhab, that there are three categories. One is obligatory, recommended, or permissible. If you're going into, and that depends on the level of how much you're going to be going into this evil, into this sin. If you know you're going into sin, work on getting married. If you can just kind of chill out and relax, then it's permissible, right? But that's something that you're going to have to see for yourself. But there's four main things you have to have before you can get married. Four main things. Number one, you should have the means to get married, the financial means to get married. Number two, spiritually healthy, mentally healthy, and physically healthy to get married. You gotta be mature. It's not a joke. Marriage is serious business. Once you marry someone, everything changes. Okay? And what I want to stress, marriage is good and it's a sunnah and it's a wonderful thing. But I think a lot of the times we've got into a nikah now society. A nikah now, meaning that pick it up, get the nikah done. Right? But we don't realize once you get that nikah done, everything changes. Inheritance changes. The mahram, non-mahram, relatives, non-relatives changes. Your place in society changes. Your ability to go to Mecca changes, right? So these types of things are very important to remember. When you look for a girl, start planning for the proposal. Once you've found a girl you like, be romantic. Start thinking of ideas. With this girl that I like, if I propose to her, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to propose to her. This is what I'm going to do. Make it something cool, but make it halal. Don't put anything out of control. Finding someone. Now, how do we find someone to marry? There are different ways. One way, plugging this in, is I think in February there's going to be this type of February. Yeah, I think in February there's going to be a matrimonial event that's going to be done by our beloved Imam and family, and that's one way to meet someone. The other way some people do is talk to the Imam or the chaplains who know people. Because Imams and chaplains, we get to talk to people of any women and men, so we know a lot of people. Because those are those people that we talk to and work with. Volunteering in the community. People see who you are, they know, the elders know, young people know that someone's in the community. Maybe they're looking to get married, maybe not, but at least you're there. Professional organizations, also online matrimonial. It's interesting. I was at an interfaith event I think it was last week, and I asked the rabbi there, I said, so how do you, because he said the Jewish people, Jewish people like to keep their marriages Jewish, okay? Jewish, right? And I said, so this is America, right? So how do Jewish people meet? And he said, J-Date, thinking J-Dot, that's my English. J-Date, right? It's an online Jewish matrimonial website. And I think he said there's 70 or 80% of the weddings that he does over the past 6 or so years were from that website. And that was shocking to me. And then I asked him, is it any kind of Jewish person? He's like, yeah, it's all different types of Jewish, conservative, liberal, reform, or Orthodox reform and conservative and whatever. And that was very interesting to me. But it's also, be cautious. If you're doing online matrimonials, they can work, but there's deception as well. So be careful not to get played, like a better term. And most importantly, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has control of everything. So the story of Moses. Who knows the story of Moses pretty well? Of Musa alayhi salam. And the 2 girls by the water. Mazen? Okay. So Mazen is one of my students as well, actually. So Mazen, tell me about the story about Musa alayhi salam and the 2 girls.
You asked who knows the story, not to tell you.
Not telling? Okay, it's okay. Not wish I didn't. Okay.
Alright, Ziad knows the story, he'll tell you.
Okay, Ziad.
Well, he was escaping from Egypt, and he went to a neighboring country, Russia, where it is. So they were trying to get water, but because they were losing it, everyone else was a lot stronger than them.
Yeah.
They had to wait for everyone else to get water that they were fluid. So when the Prophet Moses saw them, and he asked them what's the matter, and they explained to him, he went in and got them the water, got for them the water that they needed. And then they told their father about it when they went back. So their father asked one of them to go get it back, and then he told the father about the story with the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
And then the father wanted him to marry. And then one of the 2 daughters asked his father to make him work for him. And the father agreed, and he wanted him to work for him. In return of marrying one of his daughters.
Yeah. And so, if you didn't get it right, so there are 2. Thank you, Barakallahu. So these 2 girls are wanting to get water. They can't get access to the water. Musa alayhi salam sees that. He goes and helps the girls, right, get that water. And the girls tell their father what happened, and they say, why don't you invite him to come work for us? Why don't you get him to come work for us? And then the father says, well, how do I trust him? I just barely met him. What did the daughter say? She said, this is according to Ibn Kathir's account of the story, right? Said that when he walked, he told me or told us to walk behind him so that he wouldn't see our shape, the shape of our body, basically. Right? So you could tell he was a decent man. He didn't want to stare at the women. Okay. And so then the father asked him to come. And so the woman went to Musa alayhi salam bashfully. She had haya. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith in Sahih Muslim, al-haya min al-iman, that shyness is a part or a true ingredient of faith. So she went bashfully to Musa alayhi salam, shyness. Our father invites you to our house. Okay. So he went, as Ziad said, come work for me. In exchange, I'll give you my daughter. And 8 years work, and if you want, you can do 10 years. Right? And so Musa did how many years? He did 10 years. Okay? He did more than he had to do. Right? This is in 28th Surah of the Quran. And what do we learn from that? Musa alayhi salam was very good to his in-laws. Right? I mean, he spent 8 years working for his father-in-law, right? And then he gave an extra 2 years and he didn't have to, no obligation to do that. But he did. right? Because when you love someone, you have to love their family as well. Because their family is a part of who they are. And if you love someone, you have to love who they love. That's part of the package. So once you sign that contract, once you verbally accept the offer, proposal, job, for the marriage, you're tying yourself to that family. And this is a general statement. There are some times where families, they don't accept the marriage, or maybe some issues with people coming into Islam. But generally, right, even then, you're marrying the families. Okay? Because Islamically, we never let go of our parents. Am I right? Right? Allah says we can't even say uff to our parents when they attain old age, right? Specified. Right? So we're always obliged to our families. May Allah bless our families. Now, marrying Muslims. Marrying Muslims. Oh, okay. So, I told a friend of mine, who's also here, but I'm not going to say his name because he may get shy. I asked him, do you have to go to college? Do you have to go to college? It's an open question. Do you have to go to college? No. Do you have to go to college? Okay, well, y'all do because you're my students, but no, you don't have to go to college, but you've got to go to college, right? You should go to college because how are you going to get a good career? Most times you get how are you educated? Similarly, Muslim men don't necessarily have to, but you should marry a Muslim woman. You should marry a Muslim woman because you want to retain that iman, that belief in Allah in your own households. And this is very important, very, very important point that I want to make. If you look at the number of people in the U.S., what is the number of population in the U.S. people? 314 million, right? Okay. And the number of Muslims? Oh my gosh. Wrap up? Can we do Isha a little later? Can I ask permission? Can I ask? Okay. There's 8 million Muslims or so in the U.S. We'll say that number, okay? 308 million non-Muslims. If we don't let them meet each other and talk to each other, then if we don't let them meet each other and talk to each other from families that we know and trust and communities that we trust, how are we going to get it done? Now, getting into marriage, you have to know what you want. Give me more time. More time? Can I ask? Can I ask the Jamaat? Can I ask the Jamaat? Can I ask the Jamaat for more time? It's okay? Okay. Can I have more time to talk? Do you want to talk more or pray now? Can we talk more? Talk more, yes? Okay, alright, they say yes. So it's Jamhur, it's majority. The Prophet said follow majority. Yeah, it's democratic, sure. So, Excel sheet. Know what you want before you get married, okay? Know what you want before you get married. Open up your Microsoft Excel. You don't have to get Google Docs. It's free. Y'all can afford it. It's free. And write down what you want. This is what I want in a spouse. Okay? That way, you don't have to be politically correct. You're not trying to please anybody else. It's just being honest with yourself. What do I want in a spouse? And stick to that. And then go out and look for that. Okay? When you find someone that you like, or you think you like, what's the next step? You inquire about that person. Okay? You go and see, is this person a good person? You go and you ask, and you can be a little indirect about it. Quotations. I know of someone who may be interested. Right? You don't have to say you're interested specifically, then you might get, I know of someone who may be interested in this person. What do you know about them? And then you can talk to that person's friends and see if you want to drop a hint, you can drop a hint, right? Some other people are more direct. They may send a Facebook message, look up the person on the thing, and then send that or directly talk, but that takes a lot of guts. We talked about radiallahu ta'ala anha, as well in the way that she would propose to Prophet sallallahu. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the courting process. And this, I think, is a very, very important aspect, because usually Muslims don't know the courting process. At least young Muslims don't know how to court, okay? Because either we know two things. Either you get an arranged marriage, or you do it in a haram way. Okay. These are the two things that you Muslim youth in America are told. And I've talked to a lot of them across the nation. Trust me on this one, okay? This is how it works. Once you know someone, this is what I propose. This is something that I've talked to my sheikh about, and from what he said, this is what I'm proposing. And take it or leave it, this is what I'm proposing. Once you have found someone that you think you're interested in, and you've investigated, and you're talking to that person, 1 to 3 coffees with restrictions. 1 to 3 coffees. In the daytime, there is no touching and there is no bad talk. You have notified your friend and you have notified a member of your family that you are meeting this person. Okay. And a family member has also been notified of each meeting. So after this ends the time frame, okay, the time frame. If I'm not back by this time, come and get me. Stop the conversation. After these maximum 3 coffees, then it goes to the families, okay? And this families one, I don't want anybody disagreeing with me. This one, because you have to really debate hard with this one, because when these two people like each other, I believe the families need to create a home, an environment in the home where these two potentials can know each other, supervised, okay? Not alone, no khalwa, not seclusion, but they can talk to each other in a room. Maybe the TV is on a little bit or the radio is on so they can talk privately, but there's somebody coming in and out of the room to the side of the room, okay? But you have to let them know each other. Because if they don't know each other, they just get married, there's some serious problems can happen. There's a lot worse. So the coffee thing is too liberal for you, throw it away. But at least allow them to meet in your home. And if you're converting to Islam and don't have Muslim families, talk to the Imam, and the Imam will work something. I got a nod. Will work something out for you. But make sure that these two people can talk to each other, get to know each other, right? And it protects so many aspects, because then nobody in the community has to know about it. It's in between those two families. They meet, they mingle, they ask the questions. If it gets further, then it goes to the next step. If it doesn't, Assalamu alaikum, thank you, move on to somebody else. But if you don't give them some kind of a way to meet, and a way, usul methodology, then they're going to follow those who we don't want them to follow. Okay? And they are following, trust me. I worked in 3 colleges, alhamdulillah. I know. None of my students, I'm just saying I know how colleges work. Right. Courting a person, ulama say there's four restrictions when talking to someone on the phone or on the computer or whatever. Number 1, both parents should know about it. Both sides, parents should know what's going on, generally. It should not be done late night, no late night talking. And remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you and you are not alone. Allah is watching. And the 4th one, it should not get so addictive that you get to the point that I have to talk to that person. Okay. Now, if you like a girl or a young lady and you want to propose to her, or you're thinking about it, you're courting, you need to court this family as well. So when you go to her house, don't just first of all, bring something for her to show that you're interested, okay? Okay. Bring something for her father, or her uncle, or her brother, or her sister. You may not want to do that, but stay away from that. And also her mother, her father may not like that too much. So let's stay away from that for now as well. But you can bring the family a cake. You can bring the family something as a general family familial gift. Okay. Because if you think you're just marrying that girl, again, you're fooling yourself. There's a saying in America: the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Okay, it's an American saying, right? And it basically means that this is the apple tree. This is it's the father basically, and the apple is falling not too far. So if the dad is one way, look how the son may or may not be. Not that's always the case, but the way that we're raised affects us. Right? Road trip. If you can pull this off, it's amazing. If you can take your potential on a road trip with her wali, you're really going to find out about each other. You will find out when they can take a long road trip. Not just going to New York City, Manhattan, going to Boston, Go to Texas. 27 hours, okay? And you're gonna see exactly what you're gonna marry, right? And the father is there, obviously, so it's not anything wrong, but the wali is there, uncle, brother, whoever. But you will find out, about this person. Seeing somebody at their worst, and you can live with that, then you can live with them at their best. Real talk, okay? Real talk. Google a person, all right? Now, this is kind of double standard, and it benefits the sisters actually. If a sister, as one of my friends said, if a sister Googles a person, she's doing a background check. If a guy does it, he's a creeper. It makes absolutely no sense, but it's how things are. It's the way of dunya, but it's very important because you never know what you're going to find if you Google somebody, People Google me all the time, and I get so freaked out. I'm like, okay, and I'm just like, and whatever. But Googling the person can be beneficial as well. In-laws. Treat your in-laws better than you treat your own family. Okay? And why is that? Because you're never going to be able to treat your in-laws like you treat your own family. It's impossible. It's improbable. Allahu Ta'ala. It's highly improbable. But if you make that effort, then that person will become family-like. They'll become family-ish. Okay? And that's very important. When you confirm a person, you have to make sure that you want to marry this person. Are you ready to give your life for this person? Can you take a bullet for this person? As a man, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, protectors and maintainers of women. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to take care of your wife or your husband when they have terminal illness? Are you ready for that? Do you love this person that much? When they're unemployed and the paycheck stops coming in, are you going to support them are you going to leave out the gate? Right? That's romance. This is part of it, but that's the real stuff. Being there when your spouse needs it the most. Does this person bring me close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yeah, I like her, I like him. But is this person bringing me close to Allah or to the hellfire? Where is it going? Where are they taking me? Okay, search your feelings about that. There was a research in one of the most prominent Muslim American magazines. And it says the current divorce rate of Muslims in America is 1 out of every 3 Muslims in America are getting a divorce. And everybody who was interviewed in this research said they wish they had done premarital counseling. And premarital counseling is so, so important. Because when you're in a relationship, all you see is hearts and chocolates and rainbows and all these dreams of honeymoons and all these types of things. And these 90s and songs come into your head and you start thinking about all these fantasies and movies and kuch and all this, right? But the reality of it is that you need someone on the outside to have a real talk with you about your finances, about how you're going to live together, Are your families able to pull together? Are you ready for each other? And the Muslim mental health professionals that I've worked with have highly recommended this. So when you want to get married to a girl, you can say something like this. I would like to get to know you better. Would you be interested in that? It's a very nice etiquette type of way of asking. Are you interested? You know? And then you can kind of go from there. Men are generally very clueless about if a woman likes them, especially when it's a practicing Muslim woman. Because hopefully a practicing Muslim woman will not be showing her interest like someone who's not, right? You know, not be touching and you know, the way that stuff is, those kinds of hints. So it's hard. It's a very hard situation. So to give a hint is not bad. Men, okay, real talk. Men, we're scared of getting rejected by a girl. We're scared if we ask, she'll say no. It's a fear that we have. And so that should be at least understood. I put this on my own Facebook, and I wanted to repeat it here because people tend to like it. And I said that marry the man who will treat you like a princess, not the one who will buy you a kingdom. Right? And because the one who will buy you a kingdom is most likely going to be looking for more princesses. But the one who has no kingdom and you are his kingdom will treat you like a princess. And the same with the sisters. Men like to be kings. That's why they conquer lands historically. They keep doing that. Now they call it something else. We'll go into that. But you know, kingdoms and monarchies is how men are built: conquer, divide, conquer, and treating your husband, you know, spoil each other. Again, marriage is a blessing from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. It is a tawfiq. There's so many people who don't have that blessing, and when you have it, take advantage of it. The Prophet ﷺ, this is mainly for this part is mainly for the men. Women may not understand this, but men may understand what I'm about to say. There's a prophetic advice for post-marriage. Okay. And one was, if you see another woman, know that your wife has the same that she has. Okay. Because sometimes men, even if they're married, their gaze wanders. It still wanders. So the advice is to go, remember that your wife has the same. And when you choose a wife, choose someone you're attracted to, because it'll help you lower your gaze. And I'll tell you that even if you're married, men and women will still come after you. That is the truth, real talk. And sometimes they like it more because, oh, it's a responsible man, or whatever it is. You know, he's responsible, he's working, so be very careful, real talk, okay? And guard yourself. The wali. What is the wali? And so, yeah, it's basically protected. And the wali in this text is in this context is basically generally a male figure from the wife's side. Now, why do you think it's important to have a wali before the marriage? Mazen? Because they can prevent you doing something haram. Okay? Yes? What else? What else do we have? Sisters, you can answer too if you like. Yeah. How am I going to hear her? The mic, okay.
So the husband knows that there is somebody on her back after the marriage. He cannot mistreat her. He knows somebody is there.
Okay, so if I heard correctly, he's someone there to. I'm sorry.
Her back is strong even after marriage.
Her back is. I'm sorry.
Strong. Somebody's on her back.
Yeah, not her back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, but before before the marriage, you see, this has an effect. Okay, if the person goes and he's charming the sister of the potential, he's charming the mother of the potential, and he's saying, and he's doing all this stuff. If a guy came to marry my sister, I don't care about this, and I don't care about this. I want to know, are you seriously interested in my sister? And that's the truth, real talk. And if I had a daughter, I would say the same exact thing. And my cousin, I'll say the same exact thing. What are your intentions? Are you for real or not? Right? And that's the wali's job. And that's why it's important. And that's why Prophet ﷺ told us, La nikaha illa bi-wali. There's no marriage without the wali. We'll stick with that opinion for now. Now, once the couple gets engaged, I think they should go out together with someone from the family. This time, okay. We'll do 10 minutes and then I'll finish, okay? 10 minutes and then we'll end, inshallah. There are many different examples of romance on the early companions. There was Ibn Abbas. He was making clothes for his wife, preparing his clothes for his wife, and then people asked him, why are you making clothes for your clothes for your wife? And he said, shouldn't I do what I want my wife to do for me? Right? And so that's also it's also very important. One time, Umar ibn al-Khattab, the Khalifa, a man came to him to complain about his wife. And then he got to Umar's house, and he heard this yelling coming from the house. You know the story? Yeah, it's awesome. He heard this yelling coming from the house, and he starts walking back to his own house. And then Umar walks outside and says, what's up? Basically. And then he said, well, I came to you to talk about my wife. After seeing your situation, I got it pretty good. And then Sayyidina Umar, he said, no, wait. My wife, she cooks for me, she cleans for me. Shouldn't I be there to listen to her problems? Game, set, match. Right? Okay. I'm going to go quickly because I know we have to end now. Public affection is very important. Okay, public affection. Sharing on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your whatever. Showing people, sending flowers to your wife's work. Women sending food to your husband's work. Make him very cool among his employees, his co-workers. They're going to be they're a cool wife you have who's sending us food hopefully too, right? And sending your food as well. Sending affection to your spouse directly, texting her, texting him, even one heart, it makes a big difference. Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, used to talk so good about the Prophet ﷺ. He said that his character was the Quran. And that was the way that they would do it. One time Aisha was talking about Khadija, or the Prophet ﷺ talked about Khadija so much, and Aisha just gets so jealous about it. And he would love Khadija so much that he would, when he slaughtered a sheep, he would cut its parts and send to the women friends of Khadija. Okay. And when the Prophet ﷺ was asked, which people do you love the most? He replied, Aisha. And then the people said, well, what about from amongst the men? And then he said, who did he say? His father-in-law, who was Abu Bakr. Right? So public affection, our wives call us and they say, I love you. And the man says, yeah, assalamu alaikum, talk to you later. Right? No, I love you back. This is the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to do this. Reading Quran together after Fajr. Praying Fajr together. If one spouse is not waking up, the wife hits the husband on the head, wake up. Ittaqullah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's time for Fajr. Right? And the husband the same way. Help each other. Marriage is half the deen, is not some joke statement. It's real. It's real talk. It's half the deen for a reason. And remember to work in this team. I'll finish up with a few more slides. this is an alert. If you want to avoid having a bad relationship with your spouse, have a good relationship with your in-laws, number one. Number two, have good finances. And number three, keep the romance, keep the intimacy alive. Okay? Keep it alive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, and we have created you in pairs. One of my sheikh that I studied with, he told me, may Allah bless him, look at the difference between a person who is married and a person who is not married. SubhanAllah. You will see a difference in their effect, in their aura, in the way that they carry themselves. There is just something that just works. It's like walking around with one shoe on, and other shoe, you just have a sock. Other foot, you have a sock on. The last example I will give is with the Prophet ﷺ when there was a ransom going on, and his daughter Zainab had the dowry that her mother had given her, which was a necklace. And when the Prophet ﷺ saw this necklace, it just hit him emotionally, because that was the necklace that belonged to the wife that he loved the most. And so even after she passed away, he still had romance for her. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us spouses and children that are comfort to our eyes. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who have been hurt to give us strength to give romance another chance. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those of us who are married to increase the love and the mercy and tranquility in our marriages. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for those who are looking to get married, to make the right decisions, and to marry the salihin, the righteous among the mu'mineen, believers. Ya Allah, if we have enmity in our hearts towards anyone, we ask you to remove this disease from our hearts, and we ask you to keep our families happy and healthy. Wassalamu ala Muslim, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen. Ameen. Thank you so much for coming and attending. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us. Assalamu alaikum.
At this point, we're going to continue with the Adhan for Salat al-Isha. If people want to stay along, I think Brother Adeel is here, and we'll do questions and answers after Salat al-Isha. We're already half an hour late, so let's finish that first. And if you would like, you can continue with the questions and answers. And also the brothers from Colorado who were here from Salat al-Nur, they also want to show some information about the project as well. So we'll do that after Salat al-Isha, and everyone is invited to stay.
Take your iPad.
You got it?
iPad, yeah, I got it. This corner here? Yeah.
Allah.